So there I was, minding my business, trying to write a harmless little book titled The Day the World Ended. A catchy, cheerful title, really. I was just curious about what folks were doing when America dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima. Maybe they were sipping tea. Maybe they were knitting socks. Who knows? But that rabbit hole led me straight into the weird, twisted genius that was Dr. Felix Hoenikker. Yes, the guy who helped invent the bomb and allegedly thought about human interaction the way a cat thinks about paying taxes. Anyway, Felix was dead, but he'd left behind a trio of the strangest children this side of a nuclear winter. Newt, the midget artist kicked out of Cornell's pre-med, Angela, the human skyscraper who was yanked from school to babysit their emotionally absent dad, and Frank, the model builder who apparently figured out how to model his way into Caribbean dictatorship. Casual. Through interviews, notes, and more rabbit holes, I discovered a little something called Ice 9, a grain that could freeze water at room temperature. Fun, right? Until you realize that if one drop of this bad boy touches a water source, it'll chain freeze every river, sea, raindrop, and tear until Earth is just one big popsicle. Now that's what I call a climate crisis.
You like popsicles?
And guess what Felix did before dying? He gave each of his kids a share of this apocalypse in a vial like it was a birthday gift. Let's just say things escalated. Our narrator, John, also known as Jonah, because why not be biblical while writing about the end of the world, begins his journey interviewing people about Felix Hoenikker. Through Dr. Asa Breed, he learns about Ice 9 and the Marines' request for something to help them get out of the mud. Typical military logic, we're sick of dirt, make it go away. Felix, being the genius he was, invented something that could end all water on Earth. But Dr. Breed insists it was just theoretical. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. So, on the day of his death, Felix handed out portions of the real Ice 9 like it was Halloween candy. Angela used hers to snag a husband. Newt, well, his got stolen by a Ukrainian midget spy with whom he fell in love, because, you know, as one does. And Frank? He used his to become Major General of a forgotten Caribbean island called San Lorenzo. San Lorenzo, by the way, is a single-city country that's been colonized more times than a buffet line. The whole place runs on one taxi, speaks patois, and is basically owned by three men, Julian Castle, his son Philip, and the president, Papa Monzano. And what does a place like this do for religion? It bans it, then creates its own, Bokononism. That's right. Bokonon and his pal McCabe set up a fake religion and then banned it just to make it exciting. Once every 2 years, someone got impaled for being a Bokononist. Talk about incentive. Naturally, everyone became a Bokononist. So now enter the rest of the gang. Newt and Angela fly into San Lorenzo for Frank's engagement to Mona, who happens to be the adopted daughter of Papa Monzano. They're joined by John, the brand new American ambassador, and his wife, plus a bicycle manufacturer named Crosby, who's, well, fleeing labor rights back in America. They all get a warm welcome from Papa himself, who just as quickly collapses from cancer. Papa eventually offs himself using, you guessed it, Ice 9. And from that moment on, all hell just breaks loose. His solidified body spreads the contagion. Curious onlookers touch his remains, then touch their mouths, freeze and die. Landslides and tornadoes spread the stuff everywhere. Seas, skies, rivers, all of it turns to ice. Even the sun honestly seems frozen. John and Mona, lucky ducks, survive in a basement oubliette that Papa had constructed for emergencies. When they finally emerge days later, they find a dead world. Bodies frozen, lips stuffed with fingers. A note from Bokonon explains that God was done lending out the world, and when asked what he wanted, he apparently just said die. So the people obeyed. Mona reads the note, touches the frozen substance, and then, well, her mouth. She dies. John stumbles on a few survivors, Newt and the Crosbys. Not much of a civilization left, honestly. Throughout the novel, Bokonon warns readers, His book is just full of lies. FOMA, he calls it. Harmless untruths, you know? He even admits his religion is fake. Still, everyone believes him. They ignore the truths and instead embrace the pain. Even Papa Monzano, who was supposed to be the strict enforcer of the Bokononist ban, well, he secretly practiced it himself. He even went so far as to ask for the sacred foot-rubbing ritual as he lay dying.
That's very touching, honey. Now rub my feet.
John, who is now president by default, finds himself thinking about enforcing the ban too. Why not, he wonders. He can't really help these people. Might as well keep them busy with a little false hope. At the end, John reflects on how science has actually made those old religious doomsday prophecies come true. Ice 9, the ultimate fulfillment of the end of the world. Bokonon himself writes,
Someday, this crazy world will have to end, and our God will take things back that he to us did lend. And if, on that sad day, you want to scold our God, why go right ahead and scold him. He'll just smile and nod.
And just when you think it can't get bleaker, John recalls the 14th Book of Bokonon titled, What Can a Thoughtful Man Hope for Mankind on Earth, given the experience of the past million years? The answer? Nothing. That, dear viewers, was Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, a book that manages to be hilarious, haunting, and horrifying all at once. Vonnegut doesn't pull punches. Through satire, he dissects science, religion, politics, and human gullibility. The scary part? Much of what he jokes about has only grown more relevant. The idea that scientific breakthroughs, no matter how noble their original purpose, often get hijacked for destruction? That's not fiction, that's history. And honestly, probably tomorrow's headlines.
I find your belief system fascinating.
Religion, too, doesn't escape his scalpel. Vonnegut turns Bokononism into the perfect symbol of how people will cling to comforting lies, even when warned outright that they're lies. He shows us how leaders manipulate faith to control, and how followers embrace it, not for truth, but for peace of mind. And then there's America's obsession with purity and patriotism. The Minton couple's fate, especially Claire's lost job over a mere letter, screams McCarthyism. It's a dark echo of today's cancel culture and hypersensitive nationalism. The novel also skewers global inequality and American imperialism. San Lorenzo is a mess of poverty and corruption, propped up by a US-friendly puppet regime. Sound familiar? But what really stuck with me is this. Cat's Cradle is about mankind's terminal foolishness. We create miracles and turn them into monsters. We build religions and use them to kill. We know the truth but prefer the lie. And yet, through all that, Vonnegut keeps us laughing. Nervously, yes, but laughing nonetheless. It's not just dystopia, it's a satire of the highest order, clever, cynical, and devastating. So is there hope? The 14th book says nothing, but maybe, the hope lies in recognizing that. So, if you're looking for a book that makes you laugh, wince, and question everything you thought you knew about science, religion, and humanity, pick up Cat's Cradle. It might just be the funniest apocalypse you'll ever read. Thanks for watching. If you've read Cat's Cradle, drop your favorite Bokononist quote in the comments. And if not, what are you waiting for? The end of the world? Like, share, and subscribe for more classic lit reviews. Until next time, live by the FOMA that make you brave and kind and healthy and happy. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.